Welcome to the Biz Easy podcast, where small business is simplified for greater results. Brought to you by Resources and Development. Go to www.resources-development.com for help in taking your business to the next level. And now, help me welcome the host of the Biz Easy podcast, Steve McCrillis.
Welcome to the Biz Easy podcast, where small business is simplified for greater results. My name is Steve, your host, and we all will learn how to stay better focused on the things that make you great. Now, I'd first like to introduce you to my partner and our resident guru of coaching, our lead business coach, Skip Williams.
Thanks, Steve. Good to see you today. This week we got a letter. This week we got a letter from Thomas in Nashville. He's asked, I've been working on my business for 20 years. What can you possibly tell me about my business? Wow, Thomas. I think you got up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. Just kidding. But it is a question that in many entrepreneurs' minds. After all, you've come this far. You've done a lot of difficult things to get your business to this level, including fighting City Hall, lawsuits, labor issues, etc. So let me ask you, if you had a serious legal issue or serious medical issue, would you hire a professional to deal with it, or would you deal with it yourself? Of course, you'd employ the services of a lawyer or a doctor. But here's the mistake we often make, including myself. We hire them too late. We hire them after we have a problem, and this gets expensive. Imagine hiring a fire department to deal with your burning business rather than a fire prevention expert to advise how to prevent the business from catching on fire in the first place. That would not only be cheaper, but a lot less disruptive as well. To more directly address your question, I want to tell you, you are the expert in your business. No one is suggesting otherwise. There are a few people in the world that can tell you how to do plumbing or sell sunglasses or whatever your core competency is better than you already know. But there are people out there that can fill in the gaps. Perhaps they have marketing or human resources expertise that you may not. Perhaps they bring a skill from other industries that can help improve what you're doing. But even if they can't do any of that, when they suggest something, even if you know it won't work, you've better committed yourself to that process and removed all doubt from your mind as to what you're doing is already working best. But you have a sounding board that allows you to talk through an issue before reaching a conclusion. I'd encourage every business owner to have a mentor or a coach or a consultant that can work with them on a regular basis so that you can be even stronger. You know, just like athletes have after they played the game for 20 years, they have to consistently work on improvement, else they plateau, or worse yet, fade away. I'm only exaggerating a little bit when I say that running a business is the loneliest of jobs. On one side, you've got the customers that want everything for free, employees that think their problems, especially the financial ones, are your problem to fix. On the other side, you have creditors that think that they should be paid before you, and debtors that think that you should or can wait for the money that's rightfully yours. Not to mention government agencies, COVID restrictions, the tax man, and other bureaucracies, but don't get me started on that. You've got clowns to the left of you and jokers to the right?
Steelers wheel, right?
That's right. Steelers wheel. It's an oldie but a goodie. The point is that what you face each day is overwhelming. If you're doing this alone, it beats you down. It takes you away from those things that can help you build your business and take it to that next level. A coach or a confidant helps you refocus and stay more focused on the things that add value to your business. The distance from the day-to-day allows that person to have a different perspective than you, not because he or she is smarter, but rather focused on your vision instead of all the noise. You know how you can get caught up in that day-to-day. Well, this confidant is not caught up in that day-to-day. They can refocus you on your long-term vision. They work with you much like an athletic coach can. Lastly, Thomas, I'd like to say to you that you would be surprised how much a good coach can tell you. Oftentimes, with simple financials and little else, I've been able to steer owners clear of huge financial mistakes, as well as guide them through a series of questions to guide them to new revenue channels and to huge process improvements. I'm able to do this not by knowing more than the business owner, but rather by learning from him or her and then seeing something that they may have missed or not thought important. I like to think that I'm helping to amplify the skills and the intelligence that the business owner already has. Steve?
Yeah, excellent stuff. Skip, it seems that all small business owners have to face a catastrophic issue or major unplanned expense before seeking advice or counsel. Why do we wait to make the big mistakes before we seek out possible solutions in advance?
Sometimes failure can be the best teacher, I suppose, but it is an expensive way to learn. And I think it's human nature, and especially for the male species, myself included, to let things go completely pear-shaped before you start dealing with them, especially before seeking advice and counsel. Just like men tend to not go to the doctor until they're on their deathbed, whereas women will go to the doctor at the first sign of something wrong. So there's a lot of human nature involved in it. But what we need to do is the biggest thing we can learn from our mistakes is we shouldn't have waited so long, and we should have got help.
I think every woman would agree with you that although we don't typically seek out medical attention or medical help, but we sure act like we need to when we have even a common cold. Every woman will tell you a guy makes it look like they're going to die, even when they have a common cold, whereas a woman will go through the steps and seek out medical advice. But it brings us back to a question we have asked each other for years. Why is there such a stigma attached to consulting or counseling?
If lawyers are considered a shyster, I think consultants and so forth are probably one rung up on the ladder of from there, maybe. But man, if you need a lawyer, you want the nastiest, most ruthless one, don't you? So
Sure.
so they earn their reputation. But it's a good question. And do you want somebody that ruthless working with you in your business? It is a vetting process. Not every coach or consultant may be excellent at what they do, but they may not be right for you. So you really have to take and spend a little time with them, understand their philosophy, see if those philosophies meld or mesh, and if they do, then for goodness sake, give it a shot, give it a try. What have you got to lose? You're working hard in your business, you're paying the bills, but you're not taking it to the next level yet. There's something that's probably holding you back, and you're too close to the problem to see it. So having that new set of eyes, I would encourage everybody to have that. I think that the nicer word that people aren't afraid of is mentor. And I think that's what that's what a counselor is a mentor. But sometimes you find that mentor within your business. In fact, you probably had a good mentor in your industry and then went out and did it yourself, started your own, didn't you? So
Sure.
But invaluable.
Yeah. You use the example of professional sports athletes. I read the Reader's Digest version of Michael Jordan's career and his history. He made it very clear that he would always seek out additional coaching to watch what he's doing, to take it to a new level, to ensure that he was always on top of his game. If they are the best in their industry, the Michael Jordans of the world, why do they stop? Why don't they stop receiving coaching or getting more advice from people when they are the best?
Good question. But first, I have to ask you one. Is Reader's Digest even still around?
I use it as a colloquialism, as the Reader's Digest version, a small version. So I picked it up on some news feed.
Does everybody know? Does everybody in today's day and age understand that? Reader's Digest, folks, is just the condensed version. And I was going to say,
does that date me, Skip?
Yeah, I was going to say Cliff Notes, but that would date me.
Yeah.
But you're right about athletes, and they've got people that help them, not only coaches. They've got business advisors they've got all kinds of people around them. They surround themselves with people who can help them take themselves to the next level. And for God's sakes, if the best in the world need it, folks like you and I need it too, don't you think?
Oh, we're always seeking each other's advice. And we also reach out to others, people in the legal profession, people that are financial advisors, people that are CPAs and work on tax and do lending, a number of different people. We're always getting advice. And of course, there's always the ever-present Google. How many times in a given conversation that we have and we're unsure about something, well, we have to Google it. We have all this information at our fingertips. And I've always advised small business owners, at very least, Google it, get some information, get some answers. But, it seems that they don't either take the time or think that they have the time to do it. So what can you say to a business owner to assure him or her that coaching is only a benefit such that they break down that barrier, the fear of asking?
Yeah, well, but we'll come back around to the fear of asking part, but you can Google it, you can watch a YouTube video on it, you can take a class on it. All those things. You can read a book or a report, and those things will help you if you are disciplined enough to then implement. But what a coach can help you do is not only help you implement it, but hold you accountable too. And sometimes we all need an accountability partner. Oftentimes they're called a wife to remind us that we need to clean the gutters.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the fear of it is just the stigma and the of asking for help. And I'll spend 3 hours of being lost before I ask for directions type of mentality.
I harken back to my previous career when I was traveling all over the country, visiting small business in one state or another, someplace other than here. And when I'd come upon a concept or a strategy that I asked if they'd use, and they said, well, yes, I have used that. It's just taken a long time to put in place. And then they say, well, I can always fix it. I can always fix it myself. I got that answer a lot. I can take care of that. I can fix that. I said, well, I'm sure you can. And the truth of the matter is, I had an issue several years ago where I had a transmission fail in my car. And I said, if I really devoted myself to it, I could Google enough or YouTube enough to figure it out, right? I mean, you could figure out how to change your transmission, fix your transmission, if you do enough research. It's the same equation when I've always told a business owner, everything is within walking distance. The variable there is time. How much time is it going to take? That's actually a Stephen Wright quote, to be honest. But the time that it will take you to research and do those things, it's like you could probably figure out how to change your own transmission. You could figure out how to do just about anything, but that interest in the time, because time is money when you're running a business. We both know that, right?
Yeah, and this is a problem that most business owners have. I had it early on in my career. I don't know about you, Steve, but is we undervalue our time. What we need to do is understand what we do best and how much when we focus on that. And I'm going to go back to the old 80-20 rule. And if I don't bring this up every podcast, then it's probably going to be a one for the records. But if we focus more on that 20% of the things that give us 80% of the results, if we focus more on the things that we do best, our time for doing those things is huge. I mean, the value is huge because if you're great at marketing or sales, you can bring in the sales. If you're good at the technical aspect, you can turn the wrench faster than anybody else. You can really have a lot of output. The value of that time is probably about 4 to 8 times larger than you think it is. If you think you're worth $50 an hour, keep thinking. And so how much of our time are we going to spend? How much of our, let's call it $200 an hour time, are we going to spend on the little things that we could hire somebody for $20 an hour to do? So we really need to focus on, or we really need to focus on the things that are going to reap us the most, and understand the value of our time of when we're doing what we do best. Go ahead.
We both know that small business owners are mostly DIY, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're going to figure it out themselves. This is the nature of the topic that we've chosen for today. Is the concern that they don't consider the value of their time, spending it on something that won't give them that 80% return for the 20%? Or do they think that that 20% is going to give them the 80%? Because as you pointed out earlier, implement and then be held accountable. Are they holding themselves accountable?
Probably not. I'm thinking of one business owner in particular, but I've seen this over and over in my career. Is this person was amazing spokesperson for their business. They could, if they're out there talking to folks, they were bringing in bushels of cash. Yet they would spend 3 days working on a marketing piece, on the graphics of a marketing piece, when they could probably send that out to a graphic artist and get it back for $50 or $60. They were just obsessive over it and wanted to make it perfect, and they came up with a great. She came up with a great marketing piece, no doubt about it, but she could have been making bundles of money elsewhere instead of focusing on doing that graphic artist work.
So I'm going to circle back to the question I asked earlier about the fear of asking. Do they think they could just fix the problems themselves, or do they just have a fear of asking, and so they are forced to fix these things themselves?
Yeah, it's that DIY thing, right? And
yeah,
part of that is both these things I'm going to say are very honorable. One is that they've always done it. They that's how they got here. They didn't have the money to have somebody do it early on in their career, so they're doing it themselves now out of habit. And secondly, which is related, is a concept that our parents taught us, is that hard work makes success. Long hours, if you're not successful, you're not working hard enough. And I struggled with this for years myself. If I'm not successful as to the point where I want to be, it's because I'm not working hard enough. What I've learned in my old age is that it's not how hard you work. To coin a phrase, it's how smart you work. And it's hard making that transition because it's been drilled into us since we were children, you got to work harder, you got to work harder, you got to work harder. And what I find is some of the people who are most successful work the least amount of hours, but they're smart, they're clever, they're shrewd, and they make good decisions. And what they do is they surround themselves with people or have connections to people that can do things for them better than they could do them themselves.
Skip, you've been a coach now for over 30 years. Speaking directly to all small business owners, what advice would you give them about finding a coach or finding a mentor or finding a counsel?
All right. Well, first I'd say find a coach that buys into your vision. You want them emotionally invested in your success. You want to also find a coach that adds value rather than cost your company money. So you want to have a return on this investment. You want a coach that has a process as to how they may work with you on a weekly basis. That's going to take you through a series of things, as well as work on your problem du jour or your challenge du jour. You want a coach that values your time, that isn't just wasting your time. It doesn't. The whole hour isn't about pleasantries and how the weather is or the local sports team. And then lastly, you want to find a coach that has been through failures as well as successes. And this is important. A lot of people hang up their shingle as a consultant or coach after they've had a success, but you want to make sure they've had failures too, because that coach knows where the guardrails are and they can help you steer clear of the big mistakes. That's my advice to any small to medium-sized business owner that's trying to do it all themselves. Get that help and see if it makes a difference. I would be surprised if it didn't. Write to me. Let me know how it went.
Well, I've heard many of our clients say things to you like, I enjoy working with Skip because he remains objective and he's not argumentative, and he values my intelligence. Those two things that you may have skipped along there, but I remember those, and I picked them up, and I have to share those with you. Hey, that's about all the time that we've got today. I look forward to another opportunity to provide whatever information we can to make small business a little more simplified. And in the meantime, signing off for Biz Easy. Don't make it biz hard. And
That's a wrap.
that's a wrap.